Tweet ready. Did it break?
Nope.
Okay.
All right, you got your Audacity open?
Yes, I do.
All right, 3, 2, 1, hit record. Make sure you got lines.
Yes.
You do?
Yep. I do. Just getting ready to tweet and Facebook this out. I love how the shortcut on Facebook for Twitch always gets stuck in the past.
Does it?
The short link, the preview, it always seems to be like
every time that I actually type out twitch.tv/Digital Days Gaming, it always has whatever. As long as I hit go live, like it seems to work. So
yeah, for me it's usually like one behind for whatever reason. All right, tweeted, Facebooked it.
Are you doing a sound check at all, or?
Oh yeah, probably. Let me do that now. I knew I put the earbuds in for a reason. Dave, say words.
Words, just checking a sound. We'll get going as soon as we can.
Yep, we sound good.
Okay.
Sound leveled and everything. I should probably just put you in that window there. Keep the chat open there. Look at me. Doing stuff. All right, Dave, whenever you're ready.
Just looking at docs. All right. DDG episode 23 live on Twitch, twitch.tv/Digital Days Gaming. My name is Dave Hunt. I'm one of your hosts, and I'm joined by Michael Swick.
This is week 2 of quarantine. I'm currently looking for a speakeasy barbershop. If anyone has any tips.
It's the roaring 20s. We have a national pandemic, and sooner or later, you're probably not going to be able to buy alcohol.
No, alcohol will be available at all times in this country. I am at that point where I needed a haircut like 2 weeks ago, and now I desperately need a haircut. So I'm just trying to survive. Every time I'm on a Twitch stream, you'd see me the past week just like fiddling with my hair more than anything.
Yeah, my youngest son is going to need a haircut soon. He needed a haircut before everything got shut down, and it's getting worse, and it's going to be to the point where I get to just like put a number 3 guard on and just cut his hair.
Yeah. It's either going to be the dad buzz cut or the mom haircut.
Yeah, I mean, it's better than putting like the punch bowl on his head and cutting his hair like back in the day, right?
Yeah. The old days.
Yeah. All right, so
MJC is too loud.
Okay, so we are Digital Days Gaming. We are a weekly podcast that covers all things in the gaming world, albeit as a little bit of a slower world currently right now. But we do the best we can with what we have. We play a lot of games. We try to play a lot of games, but we interact with the community. And you can find us on all sorts of social platforms and podcast networks. If you're able to leave us a review on your podcast network, that would be greatly appreciated. As well as if you could just share the show. lots of people are looking for multiple forms of entertainment and things to take up time. So, because they're home or they're doing things differently or they're stuck at home because they can't go to work. So if you just, say, hey, if you guys like video games, check out these guys. They do, they do a good job, or I enjoy their banter, or the conversations we have. So just sharing the episodes is always helpful. That can just be a huge help to help the show grow.
The retweet and share button are very powerful, especially for a up and coming podcast like us.
Yeah. So our numbers are good. They're always improving, but we would love to see them, just improve faster, maybe. But your listenership is more than enough. But just, like he said, screenshots of, hey guys, check them out. A share button on Facebook, sharing through your, I know, Google Play and Podcast Addict, they can share as well, and it'll just put something on your social media that says what you're listening to. Any of that stuff is helpful and always appreciated. All right, so we are going to get into some of our news, later news. I saw this, but I don't know all the details, so you're actually going to kind of educate me on the first piece here.
Yeah, the first news story is Epic is now a publisher. So Epic of Fortnite fame and Unreal Engine. I feel so bad that I said Fortnite before Unreal Engine, but they have a lot of money. Things are going good for them. Epic Store is rolling along nicely, and now they are going to publish games. They signed 3 deals currently. The first one is with Playdead Studio and Remedy Entertainment. And then the third studio is, I had their name a second ago. Their third one is basically the former people that worked on The Last Guardian, their studio now.
Gen Design,
yeah. Which I put in the notes, look at that. Yeah, Gen Design, so people that worked on The Last Guardian. So Epic getting into publishing isn't that crazy of an idea, but the way they're getting into it seems like it could potentially be disruptive, because they kind of just laid out the bullet points of why you should sign a publishing deal with them. And just to go through these real quick, first bullet point, developers will have full creative control of their games. So no interference from the publisher. We constantly hear about how an EA or an Activision will interfere with the development studios to change the direction of the game. This won't happen with them. But this is just a bullet point. There could be finer details, of course, that will, make this bullet point less true, but full creative control. The second bullet point, developers retain 100% of all intellectual property. So they own it. It's theirs. That's why developers have full creative control. They could do with the game as they please. Epic, for the third bullet point, this is like the biggest one. Epic Games Publishing will cover 100% of the development cost, from developer salaries to market expenses like QA, localization, marketing, all the typical publishing costs. 100% of that is covered by Epic Games, which is kind of unheard of. Usually when you cut people in on a deal, you lose some of the previous bullet points to that publisher. And then the final bullet point, once costs are recouped, developers earn at least is a key one, 50% of all profits. So once Epic makes their money back, then the developer can start making money off the game's success. So that's pretty huge. This is pretty unheard of in the industry. Rami Ismail talked about how some people were, thinking Epic only giving them 50% after recoup costs, don't really understand like the creative freedom aspect of it, the paying of everything from developer salaries. You're talking about games that cost tens of millions of dollars and can sometimes have hundreds of people on staff. That's expensive, which is why we end up seeing a lot of indie games with like 2 or 3 people in a studio, just because that's all they can afford. Mm-hmm. This opens it up to like way bigger than just like them housing a bunch of indie developers. For example, so Remedy apparently signed 2 games under this deal. And they already said the 2 games will be on PC and next-gen consoles. So this isn't just exclusive to the Epic Game Store on PC. This will go to other consoles, or will go to consoles. They put some numbers out. This is all from PC Gamer. So it's kind of, you have to hope their investigating was worth it. So so for investing 7.75 million, I think, pounds, 505 Games then got 55% of the revenue. All they invested was 7.75 million pounds, and they get 55% of the revenue for a 20-year period. Control cost in a range of 20 to 30 million to make. So for just 1/3, 1/4 of the game, 505 Games was able to get 55% of Control for the next 20 years.
Profits.
So, yeah. So that's just a comparison to some of the deals developers are currently making with other publishers and how disruptive the Epic's game publishing contract can be, because now people are going to have to compete. Obviously, Epic Games isn't going to be able to just dish out these contracts to like dozens and dozens of studios. But if you're a bigger independent studio, you might look at this as an option.
Well, yeah, if you turned it over, the numbers that we have from Remedy for that, if Epic invested, let's just say $7.5 million into Control, after they make their $7.5 million back, it sounds like Remedy would get a significant bump to their profits after they pay it back.
After they pay back. And that's huge for that, but it's also just like paying the developers, like actually, paying all the developers, handling all the QA stuff. We hear about, how some of these marketing budgets can sometimes dwarf the actual development costs depending on like how big of a game.
Well, I mean, we heard Destiny's budget with Activision was $500 million, and that was there was a budget with Activision. That wasn't, I don't believe that was the cost to produce the game. That was just what Activision was putting forth to help publish the game and market it and advertise it.
Yeah, so Epic has a reason to push these games because they've invested all the money into them, and then they're going to get 50% or up to 50% of the revenue, potentially more for some like underdeveloped or like unknown studios probably, but this is pretty huge, and it kind of puts pressure on the other publishers, and especially right now that there's kind of an arms race between different publishers and console manufacturers to buy up studios. We were just talking about a couple of months ago how, there was rumors that Sony was maybe looking at Remedy, Microsoft was maybe looking at Remedy, and nothing happened. And this kind of explains, why maybe, if those rumors had any sort of substance, why they didn't go that route. There was a reason for them not to. But yeah, there's been like other talk. So apparently Devolver Digital does a 70-30 revenue split, where the developers get 70, Devolver Digital gets 30. But that seems to be one that people point to. But in this article of PC Gamer, they mentioned that Devolver aren't really working at the level of, some of the development studios that Epic's working with.
Mm-hmm.
Like Devolver, it's a lot of indie. It's all indie. So you're talking about teams where I've met development teams that are like 2 people, and it's easy for them to do a 70-30 split because the investment isn't like as crazy as what we could expect from these 3 studios, specifically Remedy.
Right. I mean, I think like, and not to demean anything, but I think like a game like The Messenger, which is a Devolver Digital published game, is a different animal than a game like Control.
For sure.
In terms of the not only the development cost, but the cost in general of the scope of the game and how they're being made. Like Control wasn't made by 7 people. So
Mhm.
like other games can be.
Yeah, this is pretty exciting. Developers will have money. As long as I guess as long as Fortnite is still making a shit ton of money. I mean, Fortnite's losing popularity, but it's still making hundreds of millions of dollars. So this is just it's just funny how like as much as shit people give Fortnite, Epic wouldn't be doing these moves if it wasn't for all the money they were getting from Fortnite, like the Epic Game Store giving developers like an 88% revenue split. That goes to like this. They wanted to build a storefront for Fortnite. They did. They filled it with stuff, gave developers really good deals because they could afford to do it. And even without Fortnite, they licensed the Unreal Engine, which is the popular, if one of the most popular like engines used by developers. So they're getting their money and they're actually potentially putting some good to it. But thought that was like some nice video game news, especially after the last couple weeks. And for the most part, our video game news, except for this next story, is pretty positive. Though this one is positive, but some might think of it as negative. Sony announced that they are going to be throttling download speeds in the US and Europe to kind of preserve the internet access for everybody. We've been hearing about how internet has been kind of choked as everyone is staying home or working from home. So a way to help ease that stress currently on the internet, Sony is going to throttle speeds for downloads. So this shouldn't affect gameplay for online matchmaking or anything like that. It's just the download speeds on PSN are going to be a little bit slower than they usually are.
Yeah, it's not unexpected. I mean, we've been talking about for the last week or so, like unprecedented numbers of people like streaming. You and I are actually having personal internet problems just because I think about as many people that are working from home. It's not things that you guys are necessarily seeing. Like yes, now you like publicly you're going to see slower download speeds on PSN and in the US and in Europe. But as an example, like my upload speed, which is something that is very important for us when we're streaming, even now, I'm monitoring my upload speed, and the Twitch stream is going massively up and down. For whatever reason, but even there's tons and tons of more people hitting these networks than at a farther basis than ever have before. So in order for we saw Xbox Live go down a little bit ago, like early on during some of this stay-at-home stuff, and like and I think Sony is trying to preserve the network as best as they can to stop it from going down.
Yeah, surprisingly, PSN has been mostly stable. They've had some hiccups here and there. This definitely, you bring up a good point. They're trying to keep their network up, but it also will preserve the internet for everyone else, especially when, you have a Call of Duty who has 20 gig patches. And I'm sure there's a lot of people that may have just picked up Warzone as it just passed 20 or 30 million people have downloaded Warzone. That's like 100 gig download. So I'm sure a lot of people saw internet in their area kind of choke as everyone was downloading that game and all the other games that have been releasing. So this makes sense. It's a good move on Sony's part. Though when I saw it, I was just like, fuck, PSN's already really slow for me. Of like all the services, PSN is like the slowest. So this means I put the system in rest mode when I go to bed. And just keep it in there. And I haven't had any issues since. Just hoping studios push patches during those late hours to make it easier for everybody that uses rest mode. Me, basically.
Yeah, I think you just got to make, somewhat better choices. Like when I downloaded MLB The Show, I just kicked it off and then went to bed and just not worrying about it. Like let it kind of work overnight, and however long it takes. Like if you wake up the next morning and like 8 or 10 hours later and it's not done, like, yeah, you might have some problems. I had a buddy of mine that I've known since like high school. He was messaging me about he got Call of Duty, and he's like, I can only play this like training ground thing. And I'm like, the game is still downloading. And he's like, what are you talking about? And I go, well, it's a huge game. I go, and then you have the PS4 install, and then you have all the patches that they've released for it. I mean, that game, regardless if you buy it physically or digitally, is probably 50% digital now. And he's like, is there anything I can do? I go, you need to like put your PlayStation in rest mode and walk away from it. And he's like, well, I wanted to play the other game. And I was like, or he's like, can I play this while it downloads? And I'm like, you can. I go, but you're not playing Call of Duty until tomorrow. And I was asking him all the questions. I'm like, are you wired or wireless? He goes, I'm wireless. And I was like, all right. I go, you're not playing this game until tomorrow. And he's like, well, that kind of sucks. And I was like, well, I go, get better internet.
Yeah.
He's like, well, these are facts. And I was like, he's a really good friend of mine, so I can speak kind of directly to him. I'm like, your internet is garbage and you're on a wireless, probably your PlayStation is probably in your basement and your router's upstairs. And he's like, also facts. So, yeah.
Man, I have pretty good internet, but I think because everyone in my area is working from home or just home in general, especially as this lockdown now is going to go another month, I've been looking at the plans Comcast has, and I'm just like, maybe I won't notice it as much if I bump up and pay for more internet as a dumb logic way of fixing my internet slowness. It's a dark, dark rabbit hole to fall under of just like, you know what? Maybe if I just put myself on a sales call, I can work my magic and see if I get some faster internet. But
I think at this point in time, like, especially like all these companies are also trying to, give off the good optics, and, they're giving essentially internet out, like not great internet, but I mean, they're giving it out and giving people self installation kits, which is great. Don't get me wrong. Like if somebody doesn't have internet and they want to do some schoolwork, or they just want to have some sanity with the social distancing and FaceTime with somebody and, not use their cell phone data and, because God knows how fast they could or couldn't go through that. But it's just more people online, doing more things. I live very close to the world headquarters for General Motors, their main center, and you would think that my internet would be better because that entire 1 square mile complex is like non-existent, not working now. But I also wonder how many people are pinging into that network from home. That can cause different things to change. So I just think that, and most people are doing it. I just think with this crazy stuff going on with COVID-19, everybody just needs to step back and just take a breath. It doesn't feel like it's only been 2 weeks or 21 days, but it only has been 2 weeks, 14, 17, 21 days since a lot of this stuff happened. And everybody just kind of needs to step back and take a breath and just let these things kind of work it out and start to establish whatever this normal is going to be during this quarantine, during this crazy pandemic that we have going on.
Yeah. So you're saying I shouldn't give Comcast more money?
Well, I mean, if you want to give them more money, but I don't know if you're going to like the results that you're going to get because they might not be able to produce them at the moment. So.
Yeah, I know. That's what I constantly have to tell myself. It's like, you're going to pay this, and then they're going to be like, oh, your internet's just how it's going to be for the next
and I'm trying
year.
Not to be a jerk, too. Like, I'm paying for, like, anywhere between 7 to 10 upload speed for me to be able to stream. Lately I've been hovering around between a 4 and a 6. And if I'm below 5, like, I don't feel comfortable streaming. If you guys are watching the stream right now, or any of the streams that I've done, if you ever see it go down for a little bit, and like I've seen my bit rate go into single digits, that's scary. Like it works itself out eventually, but it's a concern, and I can't control it. I mean, like in my household right now, my youngest son is probably watching something on YouTube on a phone or a tablet. My oldest son is probably watching something or playing a game. My daughter's on her Chromebook, and my wife's streaming something on the TV upstairs. Like all those things are gonna affect multiple things. That doesn't include what my neighbors are or aren't doing.
Yeah, your whole little block. If they're all on the same internet company, they're called peak hours for a reason,
Yeah,
like,
but the peak hours
dinner.
just expanded now. That's all.
Mm-hmm, yeah, peak hours all the time.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. It's only been technically a week for me. I'm doing pretty okay, but I'm also an introvert, so it's been, just been playing video games, sleeping a lot. It's been pretty good. I don't know if I want to do another month of this, but
Yeah,
1 week has been
you
pretty
better
good.
get ready.
People gotta fucking stay home, and we can go out sooner.
Yeah, I don't know about that, man. So I'm waiting.
No.
Michigan's gonna call the school year for the whole year soon. So
Oh yeah, yeah. They're just gonna move it all to summer school.
no, they're just gonna. Based on what
Yeah,
I'm reading, they're gonna auto promote kids. So but
that's the way to do it.
it's just
It's
you
gonna
know,
be
like there's so many things going on, so many things to think about, and I just feel like everybody just gotta, just relax and take a breath, and the systems are in place, and if they're not in place, they'll put systems in place. So,
you're gonna get a message from your daughter's school being like, "Can you download Second Life? We're doing prom in Second Life." And you're like, "Oh God."
well, like Zooms had to like go if you're not a teacher. Zooms like limited people to like 90-minute sessions.
Oh wow, I didn't even read about that.
Yeah, so like if you don't have like like an educational email address, I believe, it's limiting the length of time that you're allowed to continuously be on Zoom. The other companies have done some other things, like Discord has allowed more people to be like, they've upped it from like a 10 minimum up to like a 20 or 30 of people who can be either share screening or doing their kind of like Discord's go-to meeting aspect of it. So there's a lot of things going on like that people are trying to do to help with things, and whatever people need to do to socially interact, like please do so. I mean, if we need to do something as a community of, just having like I don't even know, just like a live chat session or something like that, I would, if that's something that you guys need, like I would have no problem doing that, and I'd love to do that for you guys, just to provide something for everybody, just to have, face-to-face interaction. Like for a long time when Michael and I were recording previous shows, like we didn't see each other, and that affected we didn't use face cams, and I think that affected our dynamic, and reading each other's facial reactions and how we're reacting to things like helps conversation. So just talking to somebody on a phone, isn't as good as FaceTime. Just, people don't have to FaceTime in public. Like just do it at home.
Oh, as someone who worked retail, anytime people would be FaceTiming in the store, I would just feel like, no, don't do that.
Yep.
Riding a bus, people FaceTiming. Ugh. I kind of miss the bus, which is a weird thing I've noticed. It's just like I kind of miss going on the bus. You didn't think you would miss that until you're a week in quarantine. You're just like, man.
You're at least going outside and going for walks, right?
Yeah, like any excuse I have to like run to
Okay.
the store,
Okay.
I take it. It's like, oh, we need this. Okay, I'm gonna go. Let me go get my gloves, and my sweater that covers my face.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, the only good thing I think is Chicago's had really shitty weather as an excuse to keep you indoors.
Yeah.
We've been like in 30-degree weather for most of the week. We had one day when it was 60, and people fucked it up, and we're partying, having a good time outside. But since then, it's been like 30 degrees or rainy, which has been a reason, more of a reason to stay indoors. Shouldn't be the primary reason. You should be staying indoors for other reasons.
Right.
But it at least helped, as an excuse of just like, okay, you know what? Maybe it's not worth going to the store for this stupid item that I don't really need.
Right. I was that guy today.
What did you get? You gotta say it now.
A Switch controller.
A Switch controller. Oh, you son of a bitch. It's a Best Buy or had someone at a GameStop.
No, I went to Best Buy. So
Yeah. Parked up front, waited in the queue.
yep.
Yeah.
But I was appreciative of the people that were working, and I said thank you to them for working. So.
Yeah.
All right, what you got next? A mini Nintendo Direct? Did I miss one, or is there one coming?
Oh no, this already happened. It happened on Thursday, actually. It was a mini direct, but it was still, I think, like 25 to 28 minutes long. So it wasn't like that many. But in the mini direct, they kind of just announced a bunch of remasters coming. So we have Borderlands 1, 2,
that's
3
where
sequel.
that's where the Burnout Paradise stuff came from. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, Burnout Paradise remastered, or is it just Burnout Paradise? I forget what it is exactly called. BioShock Collection, Catherine, XCOM, and a couple Star Wars games, some old Star Wars games coming to the Switch. not like the best direct they've had, because it was mostly just like, hey, you remember this game from 5 to 10 years ago? Well, now you can play it on the go. But it was fun to just not watch the news and
Mm-hmm.
just watch a Nintendo Direct. I was really interested in Burnout Paradise because that's one of my favorite games of all time. But a retail website leaked the price, and apparently it's $50, which
Whoa.
immediately just turns me off.
It
If
wasn't
that
even
is
that much on PS4.
No, it was like $30, and it's
Yeah.
not that huge of a game. So, because what ends up dictating the Switch prices are the memory card. If it's a big game, they have to make a bigger memory card or a higher capacity memory card.
Mm-hmm.
And if that's the Switch tax for like a higher capacity Switch card, like
For a
oh,
10-year-old
God.
game?
Yeah, for a 10-year-old game. I'm hoping that listing was incorrect, but that was the listing that was floating around like the day after it was announced, which immediately just turned me off because you can pick up the game for like $5 most flash sales
Yeah.
on like PSN and PC.
And it probably runs better.
Yeah. I have mixed feelings with like a lot of the shooters coming. Borderlands worked okay, or Borderlands 2 worked okay on the Vita. It might work pretty well on a Switch, but like the whole point of the Switch is take stuff on a go. But I don't know about you, I wouldn't want to play a shooter on the Joy Cons.
I don't like the
The Switch
Joy-Cons
portable.
in general.
Yeah, they work for some games. They don't work for first-person shooters, in my experience. So like BioShock and Borderlands on that, I don't really see the point of doing that. And then you can dock the Switch, obviously, but there are better console versions of that game that hook up to your TV.
Mm-hmm.
But if you want to revisit those games, maybe the controls are worked around enough that it'll be usable. But the MIDI Direct was a ton of remasters, which leads to the next story or rumor at this point. I wasn't originally going to include this just because it's just a rumor, but Super Mario's 35th anniversary is this year. There is a theme, Mario theme park opening up, though I don't know if that's going to happen this year now. But the rumor is Nintendo's going to put out and remaster a lot of the Mario back catalog on the Switch this year to celebrate it. What is it? VGC, Video Games Chronicle, originally broke the story, but enough outlets, shared the story, which makes me think that there could be some truth to it. But it sounds like a couple of the 3D Mario games will be coming out. So Super Mario, like Galaxy 1 and 2, Mario 64, Mario Sunshine, Eurogamer corroborated that those are happening. So it's just a matter of when they'll happen, which could be good depending on how well they're remastered. Mario 64 and Mario Sunshine are kind of rough if they just brought them over without any sort of work.
Mm-hmm.
Talking about early 3D Mario games. But I would really like to play the Galaxy games, just because I only kind of played the first Galaxy game a little bit on the Wii.
Well, they're going to have to do something to that in terms of changing it up, because the Wiimote was a pretty influential part of that game in terms of how you collected things.
Yeah, because so they already technically did. I'm trying to.
I think that when they brought it to Wii U, they had you use the Wii U handheld more, like the touchscreen aspect more. And I guess the Switch has that, but I don't know how that would or wouldn't work with putting it like in dock mode. Yeah.
So, so this is a weird thing. So, technically, that work's already been done because Mario Galaxy is available on the NVIDIA Shield TV in China and in China only.
Okay.
Which is super weird, but that's like Nintendo's way of getting into China.
Yeah.
So apparently there's like an official Nintendo emulator in China on the Shield TV.
Okay.
So that the chip, the Tegra X1 chip is similar, if not the same chip that's in the Switch.
Mm-hmm.
So technically the work is done. So this one seems like the most logical one to be remastered, quote unquote remastered, because I think it's just a straight port
Right.
on the Shield TV. So the work is, I guess, done, which makes me wonder if that's why Nintendo finally cracked down on the Dreams creators, because a lot of the Dream stuff has been recreating the 3D Mario games and Mario Galaxy. All those Mario games are being created in Dreams, and all of those are disappearing right now. And it's probably because Nintendo's getting ready to make a move and do not want any sort of confusion on the market.
Yeah.
For that.
But I also wonder, like, how do you, like, because I think I saw this, before you start talking about it, like, there's a rumor, like you said, with it, like, of so many games, like, but where do you start? Where do you stop? Like, do you put the NES version on? Do you which Lost Levels do you bring out? Like, is it Super Mario RPG? Like, how far do you clean them up? How far do you not clean them up?
Yeah, and if you
how
don't
much do
clean
they
them
cost? How do you bundle them?
up, God, Nintendo would charge $60 for each of these games because that's just what Nintendo does. I'm hoping for Mario 64 and Sunshine they bundle those two together, because those are, or I guess Sunshine was GameCube, but Mario Galaxy 1 and 2, those should probably be bundled together. I would pay $60 for both of those games in a bundle. But yeah, how they release that, like, there's so many DS Mario games if they wanted to go that deep. And if they don't do any work to them and then just kind of release them over, that's just going to leave the door open where people are like, okay, you have 64 game running on the Switch, release more 64 games on the Switch. Or if they release any of the Super Nintendo or NES Mario games, and those games aren't available on the Switch Online apps, people will probably be upset about that. You just be like, why is that Nintendo Mario game or Super Nintendo Mario game not on the 10 or the application that I get with Nintendo Online? There's a lot of games. I that's the only reason I think this rumor isn't like fully true, because I just don't see them releasing that many Mario games in like 1 year.
That's a lot of work too, like, just to get them to work, to fully work on a Switch,
Mm-hmm. And then also just like, people want new games. Like, they can't like just this. The mini direct was like all remasters for the most part. There was like a new DLC character coming to Smash Brothers from ARMS. Bravely Default 2 was there, but it was mostly like remasters. And there's only so many you can put on a Switch before people get annoyed, I would think, right?
Yeah, I mean, I'm happy with mine right now, the little bit that I've had of it, but after Zelda and Odyssey, like, there might be some Donkey Kong games that I want to go back and check out that I didn't play on the Wii U that I know they brought over to the Switch. But the library, like, I don't have any desire to play Splatoon or ARMS or anything like that. So, but I also don't think that the Switch is, if I'm gonna go play Borderlands 1 and 2, like, I'm not gonna go to the Switch to do it. So
yeah, I'm in the same boat,
especially when it would be like on a Steam sale for like $10 or less.
Yeah, that especially like I BioShock Collection was just on PS Plus for this month or last month, and most of the time you can get it on sale for, I think, $14. And it's going to be all three BioShock games, which means it's going to be a $60 product most likely.
I'm actually surprised that some of these companies haven't got a little bit more aggressive with their digital sales. Like, I think that we've seen some aggressive things from movies. Like, you and I really haven't dabbled into that very much, but like Frozen 2 got released on Disney Plus early. Onward is coming to Disney Plus like 35 days after it came out in theater.
Yeah, it's a slightly different situation on why they're doing that, but yeah, there was a story I didn't put in it, but Square Enix is basically rushing physical copies to market for Final Fantasy VII.
Yeah. Well, I think Universal Movies is going to be releasing movies that were supposed to come out in theaters straight to digital sources, and we don't know how much they're going to cost yet. But, like I've always heard about like the Steam summer sales. Like, turn it on now. Like,
Yeah.
like it's like start working with some of these developers, and like PSN's done okay, but like at this point in time, like people don't have the option to. I mean, they kind of do, but make it a no-brainer. Like, oh, you can go to GameStop or Best Buy or Target and get Borderlands 1 or Borderlands Collection or whatever for $20. Like, you can get it from me digitally and have it forever for 12. Like, I don't know. Like, I just think that people are already needing reasons to stay home, and I don't feel like the video game world has capitalized on it enough. Like, we saw Ubisoft give Child of Light away for free, which was very cool of them. As part of the pandemic, we've seen a couple other things done in lieu of the pandemic. I like it just from a personal perspective. Like, I've seen a lot of my local food companies, like, restaurants, like, take super advantage, free deliveries and 20% off and bundle deals and family meal deals. And I'm just not seeing that from the video game world as much as I thought I would be by now.
Yeah, I see your point. I'm surprised I haven't seen too many aggressive sales, and it's not like, I don't want to sound evil in terms of, like, they should really take advantage of it, but like there are people that kind of need something to do right now.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, they would be taking advantage of the situation by selling stuff, but at the same time, they would almost be doing a service by being like, hey, stay indoors, play this game.
But I mean, do you think it's taking an advantage when like Jersey Mike's decides to like mark all their subs 50% off for a week and deliver them to your house for free?
For restaurants, it's kind of, they have to, or at least like right now. But the video game industry could be in the same boat of just like, hey, we need revenue in right now. So
well, that's what the movies are going to be doing. Like, that's why the movies are going to be releasing. There is going to be a top tier movie in the next 90 days that is going to never see the theater.
Well, I mean, we already saw, was it the Harley Quinn movie, which I think only had like 3 weeks in a theater before this happened. Now you can just buy it for $20.
No, I'm saying I don't know what movie it is, but a movie that's supposed to come out May 15th. That ain't coming out.
Well, that's what I think. So Mulan got delayed because of this, and I think we're at the point where they're not going to know what to do with Mulan. Disney's probably just going to have to release it, on digital.
Yeah, and because it's to the point right now where some money is better than no money. Because even if movie theaters open in the next 45 days, are you jamming yourself in a movie theater with 60 people on a Friday night?
Fuck no.
So, like,
I mean, I'm hoping that we see some sales. Like, we've seen a handful of, like, you can get Drawful, which is one of the Jackbox games, for like $0.01 on the Switch right now. But that's more charity than like them being like, hey, let's just put all of our stuff on sale, which I think all their stuff is on sale. But yeah, I'm surprised we haven't really seen like a flash sale, an aggressive flash sale. Like last couple flash sales
from anybody.
Like,
this isn't a dig on Sony. This isn't a dig on Microsoft. This isn't a dig on Steam. Like, none of them are doing it.
Which is weird. I wonder if they're worried that they're going to look like they're taking advantage of it, but it's like, just no, we need stuff to do, Like, I'm playing some old games that I have right now just because I really don't have anything new to play.
At this point in time, like, what would it hurt? Like, I know they gave it out as PS Plus, but like, we know it's coming out in May. Hopefully it's coming out in May, end of May, early June. But what would it hurt to put Last of Us Part 1 for like $3 on the PSN right now?
No, it wouldn't hurt. Also, hey, just sidetrack us for a couple seconds. Do you think Last of Us gets delayed? Do you think people want to play The Last of Us about, like, a virus taking over humanity right now? Like, Last of Us is in like a weird spot. It's like,
well, I've been playing COVID-19 since February in the Division 2.
Yeah, like the Division 2 has zero roadmap changed at all. So
no, and I think it's kind of like people have to separate those kind of things. Like, and I think that they will. Like, I don't feel like the optics would be terrible on Naughty Dog or Sony to release Part 2 like in June. I think that it might get delayed because they're worried about their physical sales.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like because this is going to like the first game that we're gonna see dramatically affected by this. We're already seeing it is with Final Fantasy VII, the remake.
Yeah.
Like it's already out. Like people have it and they're playing it because companies were like just like I feel like you had products sitting in your back room. You don't know if you're gonna be open in 3 days.
Yeah, it's funny though. Like developers or publishers have been they've been wanting to be aggressive on the digital storefront, but they've had to think about their retail partners. We're in new territory now to where like their physical retail partners either don't have a game plan or closed because they have to be closed by like state or country rules. And they could be more aggressive with the digital front. And I'm sure when we get out of this, because we will eventually get out of this, people are probably going to be more into the digital market than they were heading into it.
For
just
sure.
Because I'm sure, California GameStops are closed. Some of them might be illegally open, or in Pennsylvania GameStops are closed. Those people that had, Final Fantasy physical copies at that store are probably looking for ways to cancel it, or they're just going to be like, you know what, GameStop can have my $5 pre-order. I'm going to get digital because I really want this game.
Mm-hmm.
And there might have been a couple that are, just like, I will only buy physical copies that will buy digital and realize it's not this bad and it's not that bad.
Yeah, I mean, it's been little things like, I mean, it wasn't because of the pandemic, but introducing my parents to Skype a couple months ago, showing them how Skype works, just going, to be fully honest with you, I didn't know what Zoom was 4 weeks ago. Like, yeah. I just did. I mean, I know what Discord is. I know what Skype is. I know what Slack is. And in terms of like multiple communication tools, but I had never really heard of Zoom, which is just a glorified GoToMeeting. But like there's these things that people are being exposed to, and they're realizing, one, they're not that hard to use. Two, they're super convenient, and they work. They work really well. So it'll be interesting to see like how much this changes stuff. Like there's gonna be people, like you said, that are gonna like maybe they'll buy their first digital game because they can't go to the to the store, and they might Google something and see their options, and maybe they didn't like as dumb as it sounds, maybe they didn't realize that they knew PSN had a store, but maybe they didn't realize that Final Fantasy was available physically and digitally. Like there's probably people in the world like that, just like people are probably going to buy their first digital movie in the next 2 months, and
movie companies might see like, oh, we made $20 off this digital movie, and we only had to give Google Play or Apple this cut compared to what we have to give the movie theater their cut.
Yeah, and some of the numbers and the profitabilities could be pretty eye-opening both ways.
Yeah, and honestly, like when I first saw like, oh, you can get Harley Quinn, you have to buy it for $20, and I thought about it, I'm like, well, shit, a movie ticket is like $12 or $13 a person.
Yeah, you and your girlfriend going to the movies is more than $20.
Yeah,
and then you don't own it.
Yeah, and now I would own it, and I would pick a store that I have faith in that will be around. So it's just like, oh, maybe Harley Quinn is actually worth $20 because the only other option we were actually thinking of going to the movies to see it, and that would have been. God, that would have been, like over $30 once you include like popcorn and
I mean, like, yeah, the name of our show, man. We predicted the digital days for it.
Yeah. We are here.
All right. So, what else do we got? Are we into what we're playing and watching now?
Yeah, we are into what we're playing.
Do you want to go first? Or?
Ooh, yeah, I have lists. Okay. Let me just go through the stuff that Dave didn't play, and then we'll transition into you.
Yeah, we'll do the stuff that you didn't play, and then we'll do the stuff that we both played, whether it was together or we both just happened to play.
Yeah.
And then we'll do what I played.
Okay. All right. So Animal Crossing New Horizons, playing that way more than I was last week. I got over the single island limitations. Basically, what helped me get over it is Sarah's doing all the heavy lifting of building shops, filling the shops with people, buying or inviting villagers to stay, to where I just get to enjoy like the basic fun that is Animal Crossing.
So Michael's a socialist in Animal Crossings.
Hey, you know what? Eat the rich.
What,
So
what is
I'm just
Sarah getting
reaping-
from this benefit from you just mooching off of her island?
She's getting the fun of doing that aspect of it, and I'm just having fun fishing.
So real quick, I actually had a conversation with Angela about the possibility. I don't remember how it came up, but I think I said like I think Animal Crossings might be a game that she would really like. And she kind of piqued interest, and I go, but I don't really think that we're gonna get it. And she's like, why? And I was like, because I already lost my Switch to Owen. Like, I don't want to lose my Switch to you.
Oh my god! It was what's real bad is at one point me and Sarah were playing like the couch co-op, which is kind of bad because it's only one screen, so the second player B kind of just gets warped if they go off screen from the leader. To where we were looking, she was like, how much is a Switch Lite? And I'm just like, oh no. And we were looking at prices of Switch Lites, and the only thing that stopped us is like, well, she likes to play on the TV too, so we won't get a Switch Lite. We might just get another Switch. But I've been having fun of just collecting fish and bugs, cleaning the area. Someone's got to pick up the weeds. Someone's got to do some basic chores, so I'm doing that. And it's just been kind of a relaxing game to where I'm just laying on a couch and I'm just doing Animal Crossing things. I actually played Animal Crossing with my little sister, who she picked it up and she's in love with it and just figuring out the world. It's her first real Animal Crossing game. She played the mobile one and she thought she knew what Animal Crossing was, but the mobile game is vastly different than, actual Animal Crossing game. So visited my little sister's island, deep into Animal Crossing in terms of like he has all the fruit on his island, he has all the tree types on his island. So I basically just been going to like friends and family's island and stealing resources to take back to Sarah's island and be like, haha, I brought all of the fruits. I have pears, I have apples. Because our island only had cherries and coconuts. Now we have everything. And that's what I bring to Destiny Island. And I'm enjoying the hell out of it. Like right now, Sarah's playing Animal Crossing and probably making some real good progress on Animal Crossing that I will then hop on tomorrow and be like, oh, you built the next shop. Oh, more villagers are in. So I'm enjoying it even with the one island limitation.
Nice.
Then played Warzone, got another win on Warzone. I believe I streamed that win. It was one of the early wins. It wasn't even like a full win for me because I died and just had to watch my two friends finish the game. But it counts. I'm in the end credits as a winner. Overwatch did something. So every week they've been taking characters out of the playfield. They just basically ice certain characters. And this week they actually took 6 characters out of the rotation, and they're all characters that are counters for this one character named Pharah. So it just kind of broke the game because they've only ever really taken out 3 or 4 characters. This week they took 6 out, and now one character is just there's no counter for her.
So Widowmaker is a character in Overwatch, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Give me a brief summary of what like type of class or weapons Widowmaker uses.
She's a sniper.
Okay, that makes sense. So there has been a lot of people that I follow on Twitter that are like, "Oh, all the Widowmaker mains apparently went to Destiny this weekend because
Widow's gone." Yeah,
Destiny had ironically enough, with the Trials of Osiris, had a map called Widow's Court, which is what and it's a very heavy sniper lane map. And people are like, this is terrible. Like, the sniping on this map is crazy. And then there's been a meme going around about Widowmaker mains moving to Destiny.
I wouldn't be surprised because they took her out and they took all the hit scan players out, which were the main counters for the Widow for Pharah. And now Pharah is just kind of going unchecked, and it's been kind of miserable.
That's our nerd MMO PvP moment there, guys.
Yeah. So I've also been playing Forza Horizon 4
on purpose.
quite a lot. Yeah, it's actually a good game, despite what you've heard.
I
It's
just don't
really
like. I don't like
fun.
racing games. I was streaming the other day and somebody was talking to me about Drive Club, and I was like, yeah, that's fine. Because Drive Club
Forza
servers
Horizon,
went down this week.
yeah, Forza Horizon in the Forza series isn't like that simish
Hmm.
as the regular Forza is, and that's why
Yeah.
I've been enjoying it. It's more arcadey.
Is that on Games
But
Pass?
yes, I believe it is. But
Okay.
how I've been playing it on my Pixel with a DualShock 4 because I'm in Project xCloud.
Oh, that's right. Okay.
So when I'm super lazy, I've just been in bed with a DualShock and my phone, just playing Forza Horizon, and it's really fun on my phone. I'm probably going to download it on Games Pass just so I can see it proper, as opposed to it on my phone where occasionally it gets pixelated. But it makes me kind of excited for like the possibility of xCloud. I wish my Pixel did HDMI out. Uh, I'm gonna try to use my Chromecast with it, but I have a feeling that the delay is gonna be real nasty.
Right.
So I'll report on that next week on how well or terrible that went. And then I've been streaming it like 3 days last week. I decided to play Bully. It's a on PS4, but it's a PS2 classic. The archives are on Twitch and YouTube. Uh, for whatever reason, I know I own Bully or my brother owned Bully, but I never played it back then. Uh, and this is kind of, even though I never played it, I have nostalgia for the game. It's just because it's an old Rockstar game, like their open world Grand Theft Auto type game,
Hmm.
but it takes place in a prep school in a small like school town, like almost like a college town, but this is like a boarding high school situation. Uh, I'm enjoying it. It's pretty rough playing a PS2 classic on a PS4 because they really didn't do any work to the gameplay. All they did was, tighten up the resolution and frame rate, and threw it on the store with trophies. So the controls are pretty rough, but I've been able to get used to them. Uh, it's a Rockstar game. It's an old Rockstar game, so there's just a ton of the writing is basically reference, uh immature joke, reference immature joke, and it just follows that formula the entire time. But it's been fun to play. I've just kind of used this time that I've had away from work to just kind of go through my backlog, and I decided to go to the oldest thing in my backlog
Hmm.
that I think I can finish if within in like the 10 to 20 hour range, which is kind of what I'm looking for now. Just because I don't know next week if I'm going to be at work full or not. So it's like, let me at least say at the end of my 2 week quarantine, my 2 week paid quarantine, I finished a game in my backlog. Hopefully, I actually continue it, but as of right now, I'm having fun playing Bully and finally getting that like box checked. Uh, Before I talked about the last two games I played, I know Dave played them, so I'll just go to my watching right now.
Hmm.
Three things. I don't know if I mentioned it last week, but I saw Knives Out finally. Uh, the it's like the mystery
Yeah, my wife
movie
and I
from
saw that. Yep.
from Ryan Johnson. I loved it. It was so good. Like me and Sarah watched it, and it was I loved that movie. It was one of those things where I rented it for like $6, and I probably am gonna buy it. So it's gonna be a
Mm.
real expensive movie. I already put it in my Amazon wish list in terms of hoping I get a price alert that it's on sale, because I'll probably buy that because I really really love that movie. And then wrestling's been kind of boring lately, with it being like all audienceless in wrestling. So I'm just watching wrestling documentaries. The WWE put out a Ruthless Aggression documentary. Uh, it's made by WWE, so it's very uh, it lacks a lot of critical analysis, like a actual critical analysis. They're very like, we were trying, it didn't suck. Here's where all these wrestlers came from. Uh, it basically just examines like the early years of John Cena, Batista, Randy Orton, and Brock Lesnar, and that whole era of wrestling. The reason I'm watching it is that's kind of the era that I fell off wrestling for like a good 5 to 10 years. So I'm learning more about that time. That's kind of like a blind spot in my like encyclopedia knowledge of wrestling. And then I watched something super dark, not authorized by the WWE. Vice has a wrestling series called Dark Side of the Ring.
Is this the Chris
And
Benoit one?
yeah, this is the Chris Benoit
Yeah,
one.
I hit a couple of the radio show hosts that I listened to during the week. They were talking about that, and I was like, I wonder if MJC. I was like, I know he knows about it. I'm wondering if he watched it, but it sounds like even something that I would be interested in just listening or watching because of how well it was produced. It sounds like.
Yeah, so Dark Side of the Ring, this is the second season, and the second season started with a 2-part episode on Chris Benoit and the murder-suicide uh, thing where Chris Benoit killed his wife and his son and then killed himself. Why he was a contracted WWE star who like it's a whole thing. They actually give you a little bit more background on who he was and the possible mental state he was during that situation or during that time, to shed some light on it. Just because back then it was just kind of classified as, oh, it was roid rage, but they talk about like his mental state before that, and they talk about when they like examined his brain and saw he had like the brain of someone with dementia.
Mm-hmm. But then it wasn't all doom and gloom because of the events of that happened. The connections that were made with his, because he has
surviving son.
Yeah, from a separate marriage.
Yeah, it kind of goes into Chris Jericho and the documentary just kind of reuniting his surviving son with his wife's the deceased wife's sister,
Mm-hmm.
who hadn't talked to each other really since the crime happened. So it has like a happy-ish ending, and it's really good. I would recommend, even if you're not a wrestling fan, Dark Side of the Ring has really good episodes about just again the dark sides of wrestling. There's a lot of really messed up stuff in wrestling's history because it's got the carny aspect of it is still around. So if you have Vice, or you can find, I think all of them are free on Vice's website or on YouTube, except the Chris Benoit. I think only part 1's available on YouTube. It's really interesting. Some of the crimes in wrestling, and this documentary series does a really good job of getting people that were around that time and getting them to actually talk about it. Though some of the wrestlers that they interview, you wonder if they're kind of in character, especially the really old wrestlers, in terms of like, are they capable of getting out of character to talk about something seriously?
Mm-hmm.
That's not present in the Chris Benoit one, but definitely like if you watch the Brody Lee episode, there's some wrestlers that are talking in there that it's just like, are you in character right now? I can't really tell. Like, it's okay to break character.
Right.
It's really fascinating. So I recommend Dark Side of the Ring. Okay. And then 2 games. I know Dave played. Which one do you want to talk about first? Bleeding Edge or Predator Hunting Grounds?
Let's talk Predator real quick.
Okay. So, Predator just had a demo trial weekend that it was supposed to be Friday, and it was supposed to. Me and Dave spent probably a long time just waiting for it to pop up on the PlayStation Store because it was really horribly communicated on when it would be available
And where to find it.
and where to find it. For me, roughly 8 o'clock Central Time, I was able to find it on the PlayStation Store under demos. But it is a 1v4 multiplayer game where you have 4 fire team soldiers and 1 predator. The 4 soldiers have very basic mission objectives to do, and they're just trying to finish their objectives, all while the predator is hunting them. I didn't like it that much, Dave. I don't know about you.
So I guess my first question is, did you play as the Predator?
Oh my god, did I play as a predator?
Yeah, because I did not.
Okay, so the game glitched on me with my friend to where I couldn't not be the predator.
Okay.
I was the predator for like 3 hours. No matter what I did, I was stuck as the predator.
Okay.
The Predator is fun. There's a lot of strategy involved with playing the Predator. He has a lot of tools.
Yeah, he looks very high skill.
Yeah, he's high skill. There's a lot of tools. The only thing that's kind of going against him is how long a mission takes is really short. So to execute that skill is really like it's kind of difficult in terms of like, okay, I have a plan to execute, but the fire team soldiers are doing the most basic ass boring mission that they run through, or at least the people I was playing with were running through the mission to where it's like, if I didn't start attacking them right away, I had no chance of killing all of them, which I believe is the only way the Predator can win, is if he kills like all 4 people on the fire team. It's fun as a Predator, but I absolutely hated playing as the fire team.
Well, my understanding too is like as when you're playing as the Predators, you actually have a hard time differentiating between actual players and AI players.
Yes, because you do have like Predator vision, which is this heat vision, but AI and actual players, they all in the heat vision are the same thing. The AI is really stupid, so you can differentiate enough
random
from
movements
that.
and things like that of a human
Yeah.
player. Yep.
But I notice some elements of just like, okay, I can trigger the AI in certain scenarios in hopes that slows down the fire team players. But the AI, at least in this demo, were really stupid. So it didn't matter if I actually executed on my strategy of like, okay, I'm going to trigger this alarm. That's going to bring in a wave of bullet sponges for these guys to shoot. And then I'll try picking them off one by one. But I just wasn't able to execute on that fully because it's just way too easy to be on the fire team.
I also feel like if,
perspective?
with a coordinated group of 4 people, you can just destroy the Predator like fast.
Oh, super fast.
Yeah, like 'cause there's a couple times where I was playing with a couple friends of mine, and we were a group of like 3, and he would attack one of us. We'd call it out. The other 2 would turn around, and you would just waste him. And you get him pinned down because he's a melee only character. He's got a sniper vision thing, which is very inaccurate.
Dude, I thought I was getting hit markers, but so my friend was playing on a fire team.
Yeah.
And we were just like experimenting with that to where I was just like, how much damage did I do? He's like, you didn't hit me. I'm like, what the fuck? No, I got the little animation thing that said I hit you.
I mean, I have my concerns. This game comes out in a month. It looks very shallow.
Yes.
However, I think there's a couple classes of fire team classes that were not available in the demo that will be available in the game. And it also, just on the surface, and it looks very microtransaction based, like heavily microtransaction based.
Yeah, there's like loot boxes and different like loadouts you can get for.
Well, it looks like the Predator has a handful of unique finishers, which I would assume all will cost money. It just concerns me that it's $40 with as much stuff as I was seeing in that game.
Yeah, I hope in a final game the missions take a little bit more effort to finish on the fire team side, because it was just way too easy. And it's maybe because I was playing on Sunday and the people were playing have been playing since Friday, so everything was second nature for them at that point. But if that's the case, they need a ton more scenarios for the full game, which I assume they will have more scenarios for you to run through.
But you hope. But I mean, at the same time, like, this game comes out in a month. Like, I think you got to put your best foot forward and show people what they're paying you $40 for.
Yeah, like it wouldn't have killed them to put multiple scenarios in there, different like jungle maps, because it like let you pick every time where you started, but you would just do the same thing no matter where you started.
Find the keys, unlock the door, download the terminal, take the USB drive, take it somewhere else, and then leave.
Yeah, and the helicopter comes really fast, where every time the helicopter came, it was just like, all right, I guess I'm just gonna go all for it. And the game wasn't very clear on like, okay, cool, I killed this guy. Oh, but I didn't take this trophy, so this didn't count as a kill. Like I didn't like do a trophy kill.
The
or
only
whatever it
interesting
is.
mechanic that I thought was in there was the self-destruct mode that the Predator has, and
I
then
didn't even notice that.
defusing the bomb. So like, let's say you're like getting you have a feeling you're getting ready to get destroyed as a Predator. You can actually put a self-destruct mode on, and after you get killed, the fire team has to I can't think of the word right now. Defuse the bomb. And in order to defuse the bomb, a little like a 4-box chart shows up on your screen, and you have to use the D-pad and match the codes that are showing on the screen to defuse the bomb. And if you don't do it, so there's a strategy to it of where the Predator can initiate his self-destruct mode, and then one person's defusing and the other 2 or 3 got to get out of the blast radius, because if you're in the blast radius of this bomb, you're done, and the Predator still kind of wins. So it's kind of like a last ditch effort to end the thing. And so that was a very interesting mechanic of quick panic, which I find fascinating. Of like, you'll have a team and maybe one guy's really good at defusing the bomb and the other guy's you're clearing out, but at the same time you're still fighting against AI and then trying to just to get away. So there is potential there, but it just doesn't look very deep.
Yeah, there's even an element to where if the fire team, I think they're called fire team, I could be wrong, they kill the Predator, you then have to like protect the body, and they just send waves of the AI at you while you try and protect the body. So I'm assuming you're supposed to take it out. The only problem we had is we would have teammates that would immediately just get on the helicopter. So I don't think that fully counted as a win, because when we got to the end match, it was just like alive, escaped. And it was just like, oh, okay. And same thing with the Predator, where it's just like at the end of the match, it's like, oh, you killed 2 people, but you still lost, because for the Predator, it's all or nothing. So it's just like, I almost felt like, a 10-minute match was a waste on either side, because the objective wasn't very clear in terms of like, okay, do we want to get the Predator, or do we just want to do this basic ass mission?
Yeah,
it doesn't really have any payoff.
And my concerns about it too were, again, being about a month out, like the load times were terrible. The matchmaking was really bad. Yeah,
they did put that little note at the bottom of the screen saying like, we are aware of it, we're working on it. So hopefully that's what a beta is actually for. So hopefully it'll be fine.
Yeah.
But I just don't know if there's enough game there. And speaking of possibly there not being enough game there, Bleeding Edge. Me and you played a stream. It's on our Twitch and our YouTube channel. Bleeding Edge, we talked about it before. It's a competitive 4v4 brawler hero game. There's 11 heroes, 2 modes, control and collection. I think the game is fun.
I think the game is fun with a group.
The game is fun with a group. I have some suggestions on how they can fix the game being fun solo, but I'll get to that in a little bit. Bleeding Edge, I don't know, Dave, do you want to take over a little bit, because you had fun when you were playing with me?
Yeah, so I mean, it's a melee based hero fighter brawler. Yeah, my first problem with it is I feel like you move a little bit too slow.
Yes.
In terms of, and if you're gonna move that slow, the maps are too big.
Yeah, in between combat, the game is really slow. The combat's fast and smooth.
Yeah.
But when you die and you have to get back into the match, it's just really slow. And they give you a hoverboard, and that almost feels slower.
Yeah. And then the initial button layout of the controls, like, yes, I know you can do keybinds and you can redo control, but when you're learning a new game, you're trying to learn it based on essentially how it's set up, like how the developer set it up. It just wasn't feeling like what I expected it to feel like not using the left triggers and the left bumpers very often. Too much stuff going, too many important functions on the face buttons. I feel like, just from a mechanical standpoint of like your attack and your ability, and very commonly used abilities on the face buttons, of where you need to sometimes like hit 2 face buttons at the same time or switch back and forth from them quickly, which I think would be better used of the triggers or bumpers.
Yeah, I think because I played it in the previous, like, or when it was in beta or alpha, I was a little used to that. But there were moments where I was hitting the triggers,
Mm-hmm.
expecting them to do anything, and they just didn't do anything, and that was a little frustrating. Which I will probably remap some of the face buttons. But I totally see like your perspective of this. Like,
It
you're
just
gonna
felt it
compare it.
felt
Yeah.
clunky. Like the game just felt very clunky on top of the slow movement and trying to figure out the gameplay and just again like, and I understand like most like the way it's a team based game, but like if you're by yourself, you're screwed.
Yeah, you're
There's
totally...
nothing you can do about it. I don't care how good you are. There's really nothing you can do about it because you're not fast enough to get away.
No, once you get attacked,
Yeah.
you either win the combat against your opponent because you either win or lose. There's no running away and catch your breath. Because it's super easy to just get stuck in a combo and you can't run out. It takes way too long to pull up your hoverboard.
Yeah.
If you want to run away. I know Dave was playing a healer who's in like a Professor X type chair.
Still moving slow.
Still moving so, but like the other characters that are walking around, they just have a hoverboard that they you hit right on the D-pad, and then it like takes 3 seconds for it to manifest, and then you slowly ride away, and it's not fast enough to get away from someone on foot.
Mm-hmm.
So
I mean, like you and I were playing it, and like I played it and streamed it, just going through the tutorial and trying to figure out a couple things, basic things. And I went through almost every lesson of the tutorial because I really wanted to give this game a fair chance. It's on Games Pass. It's I haven't been able to test it, but it's cross-platform play for the Windows players or the Windows, Steam, and Xbox console players.
yeah.
So it's like in terms of it's checking a lot of boxes for me, but it just wasn't very much fun unless. Like I could really see, like I think I could have a good time playing this like once every other week but it would have to be with 4 friends, like, and we'd have to be like on Discord,
Yeah, it's weird. I know people get annoyed when you compare games to other games, especially I'm about to compare Bleeding Edge to Overwatch, but it's a character shooter or character brawler or whatever, and
It's a hero fighter.
yeah, it's a hero fighter. Let's just add more. And Overwatch had struggles in terms of like, okay, no one's picking a healer, and then over time, Overwatch is like, okay, we have role queue, where our heroes are broken down into different categories, and we matchmake based on those categories. So you get into a healer, a support category, offensive category, and a tank category. Bleeding Edge is coming out in 2020. They could have looked at that in Overwatch and been like, hey, a role queue is a good idea, especially in Bleeding Edge when you play solo. I had many games where no one picked a healer, and we got our ass kicked because no one picked a healer. Dave tends not to be a support character, but he played support character on this one. He was the only one that picked support character, in the many games.
Well, I could see that, and I could see the value that he was adding to it in terms of ultimately the goal of, whether you're good, bad, or indifferent at these games, like you want to win, and you can't win if you have 4 of the same characters or 4 of the same class. Like you can't.
And a role queue is something that other games have figured out and implemented. Bleeding Edge should have a role queue on day one because they can't be developing in a bubble. My main concern with Bleeding Edge, though, because I do find it fun, I do see potential there. I love the character design. The gameplay, the actual combat gameplay, not the traversal gameplay. The combat is really fun. I love the combinations of the moves each character has and how you can combine them like a fighting game to have a really good combo that takes out enemies. I got really good at mixing up Nidhogg. He's like a death metal like emo guy. I got really good at mixing up his different moves and weapons into like good combos, and I was having fun, like doing really well doing that. But my fear with this game is it needed to come out pretty hot Like, it needed to like swing for the fences day one, and it didn't do that. And I'm just worried that it's going to kind of lack the support that a game like this is going to need to have a lasting impression. If they bring out Row Q in 2 months, will anyone care?
The players that expected it have already left.
Right? Especially Games Pass is like a blessing and a burden at the same time, because a lot of people are probably getting in on it in Games Pass, which means people that wouldn't have played it before are playing it, but also means people don't really have an investment in the game, so they can easily move on to the next game if this just doesn't hit or strike right away.
Mm-hmm.
And that helps and hurts them in that aspect. And I just worry that if they don't have like a game plan or roadmap, it's gonna hurt like the long-term ability with this game. And also, this is Ninja Theory. They already have Hellblade and who knows what projects lined up. Or they have Hellblade, and then they have that one game that they teased for like next year or in 2 years. So they're already busy on future projects.
Yeah, continued support is definitely a concern.
Yes, and a game like this needs support. There's only 2 modes in this game, and that worked for Overwatch, but it's also 3-4 years into Overwatch, and there are more modes, there are more maps, there are more heroes. This game, I feel like this didn't do enough day one to justify, like, I'll probably go back to it just because I have it downloaded and I kind of liked it. But Dave, you don't have any real desire to go back to it.
No, not unless we can group up. Yeah, like it would, like with the community or something like that. Like I would definitely check it out. It's not something that I.
If you're bored tomorrow, are you going to play it?
No, not unless somebody asks me to play it.
And you have extra time than you normally would.
Yeah, but I don't see in the brief time that I played it, I don't see the reason to quote unquote grind it out either.
Yeah, and that's where I'm at. Where I enjoyed it, but I'm not planning to play it tomorrow.
Right.
I'll probably play it later this week, and see how that treats me. Because I'll probably end up playing it solo, because my hours with my PC are like kind of all over the place right now. But yeah, I just worry that the support's just not going to be there, because Ninja Theory is going to be busy working on their next thing, and Game Pass games, they didn't really have a physical release. They probably did, but we just talked about how retail stores are kind of busy right now doing other things or being closed. So most of the people experiencing this game are going to be probably on Game Pass. And I just don't know if that community is going to stick around for this game.
Agreed.
Yeah. Dave, do you have any happy games now that we are in your playing and watching?
So I started a new character in Road to the Show, MLB 20. And I actually ironically got drafted by the Tigers in like round 17, so it was kind of cool. And I've been kind of progressing through them a little bit, just playing through that. I streamed that just briefly, not finding it as hooking into me as much as it did before, but that could just be because I'm like genuinely missing baseball on a real life level. But some of the minor changes they've made to it seem good. If you liked Road to the Show, you're not going to be disappointed in it anymore. Or you're not going to be disappointed in it at all. It's all the good aspects of it are still there. And I really haven't messed with very much other stuff. It is still interesting to me with the stub, the way the stubs work, and signing in daily gets you rewards, like that we were just talking about, like Bleeding Edge having a draw. Like at least MLB has a draw to like, hey, let me just sign in today and play a couple games and you're going to unlock something new. So that's, that those are there, and that's good. And, having Nike cleats increases your speed. I still have a hard time with the base running. And then I also have an annoyance with, like you need to do what the manager asks you to do, but I know I'm too slow to steal and he still wants me to steal. So it's like a guarantee that I'm going to get thrown out, and I know it. Like, So like that seems to be a little bit of a nuisance and an annoyance on my part. And then I picked up playing more Zelda Breath of the Wild again. We streamed that the last couple of days. I got my Switch hooked up to be able to stream, and realized that my Joy-Con, my left Joy-Con on the Switch, probably from Owen, my 4-year-old, is already kind of broken, or at least messed up to where coming out of like a pause screen or a menu, like your character just automatically starts walking to the left. So I picked up a Power A controller for the Switch that I can plug directly in when it's in dock mode, which is the preferred way that I will more than likely be playing the Switch on a regular basis. Not only because the Joy-Con is busted, not really busted, but just that's how I like to play games. I've been using it in handheld mode more often than not, but mostly that's been playing with Owen. So you'll see a little bit more streaming of Zelda and as I play through it on the Switch. So that I am enjoying it though and learning it. I still feel almost defenseless in the game. Like I was playing a little bit more today, like trying to kind of progress a little bit forward. And all the Zelda games always have this point in the story of where like the game kind of like the story kind of connects together. At least for me, it's always connected together. And then the gameplay mechanic is there to allow it to just to hook you in and to continue to play. And I haven't hit that point yet, and I'm hoping that happens in the next couple of sessions, that, you know, as I'm progressing into the story and learning more about the way that they essentially retell the same story with a different twist to it. And I'm fully expecting that, and I understand that. But using the current characters like 100 years later seems to be a little bit of a challenge. But it's definitely fun. Like I am having fun. I am having a desire to go back and play. And then so far the weapon destruction or breaking down hasn't bothered me too much yet, other than I feel sometimes that I lose something right when I really didn't need to lose it. And I dabbled a little bit in Destiny early on, just doing a couple pinnacle bounties very early on in the week. Pretty much I just find myself playing that game when I just don't want to think. So, but Destiny, that's it for the most part. So, watching, we watched a couple movies, nothing too crazy. For some reason, we've fallen down the rabbit hole of watching Boy Meets World again on Disney Plus. We started that kind of from the beginning. Everybody in the family seems to really enjoy that show, so kind of just watching through that, and just catching up on some other just basic weekly shows. We watched Captain Marvel again, just because we kind of were in the mood to watch have a little bit of comedy, but also have something that we can just pay attention to. Just finding something to watch that we all want to watch, it's kind of challenging right now. So, but that's it for me. So we can move on to our questions. You can send us questions using hashtag AskDigitalDays on any social media. You can post it in the pinned comment on Facebook. You can reply to any of the tweets that we send out, as well as the Facebook message or the Facebook group post, and also just on the Facebook page. Our first question comes through Twitter from Joe Boston. What is an unknown or underrated gem that you would love to come back or be remastered? For me, 25 to Life. Played it on the OG Xbox with my friend, and I remember having so much fun with that game. I would want it to come back. Maybe have the OG maps added and rebuild it from the ground. So what would be on the top of your list for a game that you would love to see return, Michael?
For me, so I have a handful of like PS3 games that I would love to like make it to the PS4, or Xbox, or PC. And Shatter, Critter Crunch from Cappy Games. Those are just like two basic puzzle games. But also Starhawk. Starhawk, I believe, came out during like the PSN outage time, so it just never had the chance to capture an audience like Warhawk did. So a Starhawk remaster would be amazing, just because I thought that game had more potential than Starhawk. It just kind of came out at like the absolute wrong time. And then a PS1 game I would love is Nightmare Creatures, which is like a survival horror type game. And anytime I see Bloodborne, I just get an image of Nightmare Creatures because it's like the same type of setting and like oversized monsters in like like old London. It's like 1800s London, and every time I see Bloodborne, I just immediately think of Nightmare Creatures, and I would love like a full Nightmare Creatures like remaster of it in the vein of like a From Software type game. What about you?
The thing that we've talked about this before that I would love to see. It's only a PS3 game, but I feel like it was very early on in PS3. I just want to see a better version of Spec Ops: The Line. Like I feel like that story was told very, very well. I know it's not like super, old or anything like that, but that game, like I felt like that game was done gameplay wise and story mechanic wise very well. Um, Going even farther back, I would love to see just any kind of resurgence of like some Tecmo series of baseball games. Like I really had a good time on Super Nintendo playing some Tecmo baseball games. Just a lot of good memories with my my older brother. I'm sorry, when we were younger. I have a fond memory of like Super Nintendo playing a lot of those games, but I feel like I've kind of grown as a gamer and kind of grown past some of those games. But I have a harder time going back to playing, thinking of something being older and enjoying it and playing it. I don't have any fond memories of something that I would like to go back and play all the time, other than the only one I beat repeatedly is like A Link to the Past.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah. Yeah, those are like the games I thought of right away. Should I take the next one?
yeah, that's fine.
All right. Dr. Fumbles 07 asks, have you watched more streams lately or just running your own? My sports starvation had me glued to IR Racing and a coverage of esports, esports world is getting currently. So have you been watching streams, or have you just been focusing on streams from our channel?
No, I haven't really been watching very much more streams. I'll still watch YouTube and Twitch. As I putz around, like whether I'm laying in bed or Angela's watching something, or I'm just kind of half paying attention to whatever's on. But I don't really feel like I'm doing any more or any less. But obviously we are streaming more since we have a little bit more free time. So like it's been a little bit more focused on that, obviously.
Yeah, I've been kind of falling down YouTube rabbit holes, just seeing how a bunch of the YouTube channels I watch are like trying to find stuff to cover. I was following a lot of Disney park YouTube channels of people that like to go to the park and make videos every day, and the parks are closed right now, so no one's really making their typical videos. So I've fallen down YouTube rabbit holes more than I've fallen down like Twitch stuff. Though when Overwatch did their, locking 6 players out, I totally ended up looking up, some of the more popular Overwatch streamers just to see how it like affected them.
Yeah, for sure.
And their thoughts. So I've fallen down the Overwatch rabbit hole for Twitch. But yeah, I've just kind of been streaming a lot. I think last week me and Dave streamed every day, sometimes 2 or 3 times a day in terms of like combined streams. So I've been running a lot of streams when I can and getting reacquainted with PS4's share button, which is easy, but it doesn't have like the stuff that I'm used to getting from Streamlabs.
Yeah, for sure. All right, so Matt Lowe sends a question in. It's a multi-part question. 3 games you like so much that you played through twice. For him, Catherine, he said recent second completion with full body. Shadow of the Colossus, he played it on PS2, PS3, and he just started the PS4 version. Destiny 2, all classes, and my recent Warlock restart. And then he said because he doesn't think that Destiny really counts as a replay, I guess he played Witcher 3, the only new game plus that he's ever done. So for you, because mine aren't very long at all.
Yeah, so Uncharted 2, I've played that 3 times. I've been kind of tempted to go through it again. Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 3, I've played that every year. It's not story, but I complete every level at least once a year since it came out. I like dust out the PS2 and play it because it only takes me like 2 hours at the most. So every year I do that. I've been actually really itching to do that now and maybe streaming it again. And then Kingdom Hearts 2, since that's been out, I've played somewhere between 5 and 10 times that game from beginning to end. 100%ed the game at least 3 times. Done everything, and then the other playthroughs have just been, going through the story, especially since it's been like remastered kind of twice on the PS3 and then the PS4. So that's helped. So I've played that a ton. And then there's a handful of other games that probably have like 2 playthroughs, but those are the 3 that popped in my head right away. And the 3 games that I will probably before the end of this year play each of those at least one time.
Nice. Yeah, I mean, just like I mentioned earlier, like Link to the Past, I remember beating that game multiple times. Super Mario RPG, I remember beating that game multiple times. I don't know if it's my attention span as I've gotten older, but I feel like if I already kind of know what's going on, it just doesn't grab me. And like I've tried to maybe go back through and do another playthrough to finish something off or to platinum something, or to earn more trophies. But then I just find I just lose interest. So. It just doesn't seem to happen for me. So I mean, I guess if he's counting Destiny, like, yeah, I did play the Destiny 1 campaign, I think technically 5 times, because at 4 times, because at one point in time I had 2 of the same class character, and then I ended up making 1 of each. So I did have to go through like 4 times for that one, and then I did go through. For a while, I was going through the Destiny 2 campaign stuff with multiple characters, and recently it's been a heavy focus on just one character over the last, I don't even know, 6 to 12 months. So,
but I'm sure if we counted how many times you've ran through specific missions with different friends, your playthrough total of Destiny 2 is probably pretty high.
Yeah.
Especially, I mean, you were the guru for a while for a lot of people.
The amount of hours and stuff that I've put into that game, like, for sure. Like, but I mean, it's just kind of one of those things where it's like, yeah, if you need help, sure, I'll help you. It's only going to take us 20 minutes, and the core foundation of Destiny is the gameplay loop of replayability anyways. So it's definitely not a one and done kind of thing. But like, as an example, like, I loved God of War. I don't see myself ever going back and playing that again, like start to finish.
Yeah, I've been wanting to play Spider-Man or do the new game plus, but I'm just like, I don't know if I can.
Yeah. So, all right, that is it for our questions. We give you guys a little bit of a longer show than normal this week. Hope you guys enjoy that. I know a lot of people have some extra time on their hands. I don't really think that we have any spotlight other than opening day is supposed to be this week, and it's not, and that kind of sucks.
Yeah, I forgot about baseball.
Yeah. So the social networks that you can follow us on, obviously, like on Twitch, like we mentioned, twitch.tv/digitaldaysgaming, where we are an affiliated Twitch channel. So you can subscribe to us, whether that's through Twitch Prime or that is through a paid subscription. That is always appreciated. You can donate bits to us as well, or just watching us on, just being a viewer of any of our streams is always super helpful. YouTube.com, Digital Days Gaming. Michael has done a really good job this last week of posting a lot of the replays up there, especially of his streams and a few of mine. So go ahead and check that out if you guys missed anything or any of the stuff that we talked about this week. Pretty much everything we talked about this week is on YouTube or will be on YouTube by the time you're hearing this recording. Please go ahead and drop a subscription on YouTube, and that would be super helpful as well. Even if you don't ever plan on watching a video, just give us a subscription and then just mute notifications. That'd be great as well. Facebook, just search for the Facebook group, Digital Days Gaming. There's always some cool conversations going on in there. If you're on our Twitch streams, you can see every once in a while our bot will tell you to join our Discord. So feel free to join the Discord or ask us on Twitter or Facebook, and we will send you the Discord invitation. There's always some good conversations going on in the Facebook group and Discord. And then just on Facebook, again, you can just like our page. That's always super helpful. The biggest thing, again, that we mentioned earlier that can help us is just sharing the show. People listening to the podcast. The podcast is the main focus. Twitch is the secondary focus. But if anybody is so inclined to share the show, leave a review, even a written review is always helpful. And a subscription is great if you can do that. We also do have a Patreon if you want to support us on Patreon. There are multiple tiers: $1 tier tip jar, $3 tier access to a special Discord channel, $5 gets you the podcast 24 hours early, and the $7 gets you a bonus episode. We will be recording a bonus episode sometime this week, since Michael and I do have a little bit more free time. And the plan would be to release that anywhere from 90 to 120 days after we release it to Patreon users, just so you guys can maybe see if some of the content that you might be interested in. So if you feel so inclined to support us on Patreon, please do so. Please do not support us on Patreon if it's going to put you in a financial bind right now with everything that's going on. The dollars that you would spend on us are not nearly as important as the dollars need to be to spend on yourself and your family.
Yeah, and right now especially sharing and follow on Twitter and Twitch are like really valuable to us right now. So if you can follow us there or subscribe to us, that is helpful. And when it comes to like sharing like on Facebook or Twitter, even if you're like you don't have that many followers, a share still helps. Like it shows engagement with the community, because that is really important to us and we want to grow this community. I added a couple people to the Facebook group this week, so that continues to go on right now. In terms, it's pretty active. We do a pretty good job in the group of just checking in on each other.
Yeah, sure. Discord as well. Like there's a lot of just like, hey, is everybody doing today? Like what's everybody up to? So there's just it's not just like a gaming conversation. It's a community conversation. So.
Yeah.
All right. So that wraps up episode 23. And we will be back next week for episode 24, and we might have some cool stuff. Like there's not a whole lot going on, but hopefully we get some new news, and it's prime time for somebody to break some pretty cool story, even though it's a little slow and dull in the world right now. But I think that this would be a really good time for somebody to announce something. They could have good control for a little bit. So I hope everyone has a great week. And keep moving forward.
Yeah, wash your hands. See ya.